Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming into another video. All right, so I had it wrong. The Lakers play Magic tomorrow. The Clipper game against the Magic is tonight. Glad I caught that before I went home, because I'm pretty certain a lot of y'all gonna be thinking the game's on Friday like I did because of what I said. That's not true. The game is tomorrow, and so yeah, only one day off between games, which kind of threw off a lot of what it is I was thinking, to be honest with you. But nevertheless, that's what's going on. We play the Magic tomorrow. I encourage everybody to check out the video that's being uploaded right now, where we talked a lot about that situation. And of course, I'll have game videos before the game tomorrow morning, after the game tomorrow night, during the halftime. That'll upload somewhere in the third quarter. It's same old same, but yeah, I really wanted to I'm in that because I was pretty damn certain they play on Friday, and that's just not how that goes. But nevertheless, the Los Angeles Lakers are a team I've talked a lot about today. So I think I got out all the conversation I want to have about that particular team. My favorite team, of course. But there are some other things to talk about, so we'll get into it. From what I understand, though I'm not sure the source is credible, the Golden State Warriors are interested in maybe getting good offers for Gary Payton II. I don't know what a good offer for Gary Payton II look like right now. Maybe a second-round pick. Like, because he's a guy who went to Portland, got hurt, came back to Golden State and had a lesser role. So what do you want for him? That's what I asked the Golden State Warriors. What do you want for him? Because that will determine whether or not a good exchange would be available to you. Because if you're thinking people are going to pay NBA championship Gary Payton price, then you're stupid. Like, literally stupid. Nobody's doing that. But if you'll take like a second round pick for the man, you might be able to pull that off. Or if you'll take a contract like Gabe Vincent, the Lakers would definitely be ready to do something like that if they got any sense. So I think he can still help a team depending on the situation. I think health expectations have to be considered. How much he has left in the tank as it pertains to his body, I don't know, because it's hard to tell. I don't think he's overly old, but he's probably in his late 20s, early 30s, somewhere in that range, I'd imagine. But his body's a little more, probably like 34, based on the injuries. So in my mind, I think Gary's a hell of a player. The Lakers had him for years. People forgot that Gary Payton II made his start with the LA Lakers. We had him, I think, for 2 years or something like that. But on them bad Laker teams that didn't really do anything, and before we got everybody on our squad that was really good, I think he was part of our G League affiliate for a good portion of the time, that kind of thing. So we know Gary here, and I would love to have him back on this team, but I don't know what Mike Dunleavy thinks is a reasonable offer for him, and I have a feeling it's whatever it is, I'd consider it unreasonable, to be honest with you. I'm pretty damn certain he ain't gonna take what I'm offering. So we'll see if they get something for him. I'm sure there's a lot of GMs out there who will value Gary Payton as a name and will be willing to probably do something more than the Lakers, would be willing to do, I think. But maybe the tide is shifting a little bit on how much vets should be expected to do. Because to be honest with you, we're seeing a lot of young guys that are starting to break out, and a lot of older guys proving themselves to no longer have it. So I don't know if the energy around that scenario is maybe the same as it was before the start of the season. But just the same, I just think a player like Gary Payton, with the experience he has and his talent defensively, he should be somebody that people expect can help their team, especially a contender who could use some perimeter defense and some transition defense like the Los Angeles Lakers. So I would be interested, but I'm not giving up anything they probably want. So that's really how that goes for me. What else is going on out there? Ausar Thompson is getting ready to make his debut sometime soon after coming back from the blood clots. And he was just cleared, and I picked him up on some fantasy teams with low expectations right now, but by January, he'll probably be one of the better players in fantasy if he doesn't have any setbacks. At the end of the day, for me, I saw what I needed to see from Asur last year to know that he's legit. He does have to work on his shot, but he and his brother are both fantastic athletes of the highest order. And I think with his genetics, it shouldn't be long before he's ready to go. With the age and genetics being on his side, it ain't going to take him but a couple weeks to probably be his old self from last year, which was, believe it or not, one of the best small forwards in basketball last year, for a short period of time before he started getting benched for spacing reasons, which won't be necessary, I don't believe, this year, with the likes of Tobias Harris and Malik Beasley now on the team. It's a different dynamic that could probably utilize him more. What I would be excited about if I'm a Detroit Piston fan is the idea of what Ron Holland, Asur Thompson, and Jaden Ivey, and maybe somebody else I can't think of, but those three players specifically, just how powerful of a tandem that is athletically. When you look at certain teams in this league, like the Houston Rockets, God, who comes to mind? Right now, it's only the Houston Rockets coming to mind, but I'm sure there are other teams that have a lot of athletes. But that's the dynamic that Detroit is potentially be pushing out on the floor. It's hyper athletic, defensive-minded, speed merchants. This is a real thing. When you talk about Ron Holland, Asur Thompson, and Jaden Ivey, these dudes are fast, and they're powerful, and they're explosive and defensive, particularly Thompson and Holland. This is going, like, you talk about the future of the Pistons. Obviously, you don't want to go without saying Cade Cunningham, who I think is amazing, honestly. I really think he has an amazing talent. He proved that last year when the team was terrible in losing efforts, but he was awesome. You put a real team around that dude, he can win a championship, in my opinion. He's a real deal, dude. Health is the story for him, but he seems to have shaken off his health concerns and is now just balling out of control. So as long as he's on the floor, healthy, in good shape, they got a legitimate closer that can win any basketball game. And because he was put on a team with no spacing last year and learned how to deal with the defenses crowding him out, if he even has a little bit of space, that might be enough to get him to the playoffs. I would not be surprised if the Detroit Pistons can get into the play-in tournament off of his talent, with the progression of Jaden Ivey as well. I like Ivey's play this season. He's really turned into a hell of a player. He certainly carved up my Lakers. So feel really good about just what the Detroit has in their backcourt. Duren is a monster. Duren is going to be one of the best rebounders in the game very soon. I could totally see him being a monster defender also, with his athleticism and his explosiveness, which I don't have in that same category with those two that I've mentioned because, of course, he's a big and they're wings, but just the overall power that the Detroit Pistons could potentially put on the floor. Or, if you want to look at it a different way, the trade package they could put together for something else. Yeah. I'm telling you, I see something in Detroit right now, man. I see something in Detroit. I don't know if they're going to be able to put it together, you know, make it look like it's supposed to look. But they have some serious talent over there right now. And it was always there, except for Holland. Of course, they just added on, which is a big component, adding yet another athlete. But this team is no joke as it pertains to what their future looks like if they can just keep enough spacing around those non-shooters. So, you know, that's what I want people to understand. Holland and Asur, they're going to be a terror when they start double teaming people. They're going to be a terror around the perimeter for wings and three-point shooting guys that think they're going to be able to just shake people up and all that, the Brandon Ingrams and all that. It's going to be a problem with those two defending them. They're both very quick. They cover a lot of space really fast. And in transition, they're thunderous. So I already know. Detroit's putting something together. And the fact that they ran my Lakers out of the gym was not just because we were asleep. It's because they have that dynamic and we do not. That's really what it is, man. Athletes all over the floor that can fly. So, yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to, man. Thompson and Holland, seeing what those lineups look like together. See if they can find synergy with one another at some point throughout the season. It's early enough to where they're getting Thompson back before December, which is great news for them. And they've been winning games without him. So you're talking about them getting significantly better when he comes back. It should be concerning for the rest of the Eastern Conference. It should be concerning. So that's what I just want to tell people. Like, I see something coming in Detroit. Y'all got to keep an eye open for the athletes and those small forwards that they have that can really defend pretty much anybody around the perimeter. Also, we talked about the Orlando Magic a little bit. Anthony Black. I just feel like he's a really good player that nobody knows is really good right now. But he's showing it. And people are going to have to be aware of his ability to do a lot of things on both sides of the floor. He's not a shooter. Sort of like Asur, to be honest with you. He's kind of like Asur in a lot of ways. Big body, play the point guard position, could defend like a madman, really. And I just think he's coming along really strong in the absence of Paolo Banchero. They've been able to work him into the regular rotation, and they're finding out he's one of the best players, which they should have already known, given the fact they drafted him so high last year. But, I just don't know if he's going to be denied anymore as it pertains to, is he going to fall out of rotation once they get Paolo back? No, somebody else probably does. That's what I think happens there. So, eyes open for him. In Toronto, Jakob Poeltl is playing out of his mind, dude. I could argue Jakob Poeltl's an all-star right now. I can legitimately argue that. He's played some really special basketball out there in Toronto in a losing effort. But if you look at his individual stats, he must be traded for, man. A team that really needs a center. I think his production is showing you he probably should be traded for at this point. And the funny thing is the Toronto Raptors gave up 2 first-round picks to get him. That has been a bad trade up until this year. Right now, that's actually looking like a decent deal, the way that he's playing. So that's crazy that worked out in the way that it is. Problem is they have a tanking squad and aren't doing anything. So it's just wasted breakout, more or less. I mean, people knew he was good. Don't get me wrong. He's really solid. But, like, this is an entirely different level that I don't think most people knew he was available to play at. I don't think anybody saw he had this in him. So, yeah, be aware of Jakob Poeltl. He tends to be a bit injury prone. But, obviously, right now, he needs to be traded for, period. I think he changes life for a team like the Lakers. He changes life for a team like the New York Knicks. Now, me personally, as a Laker fan, I'm not too excited about bringing him on. I don't think we get the same dynamic, though, because we have Anthony Davis in place eating up a lot of offensive touches, and that's kind of where he's shining. He doesn't particularly stretch the floor. I think he changes life in a sense that you just have an absorbent amount of talent that maybe you don't have right now. When you put him out there in second units, play him next to AD, the talent level is crazy, but the fit probably ain't worth 2 picks. You know what I mean? It ain't worth the type of trade that Toronto's probably going to demand. But just in general, for a team that needs a center, he's playing out of his mind at that position is basically what I'm saying. The New York Knicks, same thing. Although, actually, no, I'll take the Knicks back. They went and took care of that by getting Karl Anthony Towns. So I was thinking Knicks before the Towns trade, not necessarily right now. But there are teams out there who could use a center. There are teams. And Jakob Poeltl is somebody they need to be considering, in my opinion. So that's something that needs to be said. What else is going on in the world? Injuries, as we talked about ad nauseum. Some of these injuries are just like kind of ridiculous. And the one thing that I'm seeing consistently is hip, knee. Those are the injuries: hip, knee, hip, knee, hip, knee. At some point in time, we're going to have to ask the NBA if there's anything that they may be neglecting in regards to how they operate in working these players out in the system, in the process from which how these players work out. Is there a way they can shift it to align with what it is that we're seeing? You got to strengthen these guys' hips a bit better. You got to strengthen these guys' knees a bit better somehow, or cut back on the usage. I don't know what the science is. Far be it for me to know. But I think the NBA is starting to see a consistent thing happen here with these guys. And if there's something that needs to be addressed in regards to the consistency and the type of injuries that we're seeing all over the league, I think that it's worth scratching and sniffing in that area at this point. Because everybody's falling the same damn injuries, man. So I don't know what it's going to be in regards to addressing that, but now it's time to throw the biologists and the scientists into the equation that can kind of shift into strengthening those areas, or whatever you got to do, maybe put some padding in place for the hips or whatever. It's a consistency at this point. So that's what I want to say there. What else, man? Be lying if I said I was paying attention to standings too much. I'm really not, because I just think that at this point you're kind of seeing stuff that isn't indicative of what you're going to see going forward. A lot of teams are running into depleted teams and they're going on long winning streaks. Orlando, the Lakers, Cleveland can't lose. What they did last night against the Celtics, where from what I understand, Darius Garland had one of the worst games anybody's had all season. But the Cleveland Cavaliers look for real to me. I think they're constructed to really create problems for a lot of teams with the length that they have and the activity of those centers, coupled with the high-level backcourt and the way that their back second unit rotation fits with one another. It's constructed really well, and they have just enough depth playing at a high enough level to keep them winning games. But there's a but to all of this. The but is truly, this is one of the situations where you almost feel like, I think someone compared them to the Atlanta Hawks that one year, where they had this amazing regular season and they ran into LeBron James, got knocked out. Yeah, that's Cleveland this year, unfortunately. I see the exact same thing there. They could potentially keep this up all season, but then once they run into the Celtics, they're out of here. That's just what I see there. I don't think there's nothing about anything that Cleveland's doing with respect to them tells me that they can overcome what's coming at them when it comes to Boston. I don't see nothing. Especially the way Jason Tatum's playing right now. The way Peyton Pritchard's stepping into a bigger role and excelling. Derek White's playing amazing right now. Yeah, I don't. I think the Celtics are probably a shoo-in to be in the finals so long as people stay healthy. They're just going to be a little too much for the entire Eastern Conference, in my opinion. I think that story's already told before it even happens. Celtics going to the finals. The question is, who's coming out of the West to see them? I'd love to be wrong. As a Laker fan, I hate the Celtics with all my heart and soul. So if I'm wrong, that'll make me very happy. But, I've been watching this game my whole life. And one thing's for certain, when a team is better than other teams, that can pretty much be understood before basketball is really even played in a lot of cases. So unless health tells the story there, Celtics should, with their experience now, having gotten over the hump, they're still in the same easy East they were last year, man. Some of these teams got better, but most of them are still in the same space they were. I just don't see it. I don't see anybody beating them. So, yeah, man. There are certain teams as well that I'm looking at and I'm saying, do you believe in what you have? Team like the Pacers. They're starting off 6-8 right now, I believe it is. They got to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Do they believe in what they have? I like Tyrese Halliburton a lot. He's not part of what it is I would otherwise not believe in, even though I've heard people get on his case about, certain aspects of his game. They don't believe in his jumper. They don't think he's that great of a player. I disagree. I think he's proven already he's a hell of a player. I think injuries kind of stole a lot of what his second half MVP case last season would have been. And that hip injury or whatever that was, where he fell awkwardly, that kind of was difficult for him to come back from. So I give him a pass. He had to work his way back into shape. And his shot is kind of broken, so it comes and goes. When he's on, he's really on. When he's off, he's really off. It's just, and because he's like a connective kind of piece that can, get going without actually seeing shots fall for himself, making plays for other people, rebounding the ball, stuff like that. It's almost like it's acceptable for him to not score a lot. based on how his game is. So, you know, it's not surprising for me to see him go for 9 points. You know what I mean? It's just not. He's like a Lonzo Ball kind of guy. So, you have an orchestrator there. Question is, do you have the other stuff that makes you any good? And the problem that I see with the Indiana Pacers is I don't think they really improved any defensively, and that was a real problem for them. They had a fantastic, legendary offense last year, but defensively, they were awful. So they were never actually a real threat to get out of the East, even though they got to the Eastern Conference Finals. You run into the Boston Celtics, you food right there. And so for me, I asked myself, did they not reach their ceiling last year? I know they wanted to re-sign Pascal Siakam. From what I understand, they probably signed him to a contract that was really crazy. I don't remember what it was, but it was probably crazy. I know he's won an NBA championship, so I'm not going to sit here and make the argument that he can't win. He's already done that. But the ceiling of the Pacers, to me, has already been reached. And what they have at best is probably going to get them to the playoffs. You know what I mean? Just to the playoffs. Can they afford to go in a different direction? Maybe tank is too strong of a word, but can they not benefit from getting lucky in the draft this year? Like, would they not benefit greatly from getting Cooper Flag? You talk about a franchise changer, somebody who comes into your situation. I don't think they can be bad enough to necessarily be in the best opportunity to get a Cooper Flag. But I'm just saying, like, the ceiling on everything that they have, I don't think it's as high as it could be if they shift their gears a bit and go in a different direction. Because my understanding is they have all their picks. I don't know that they've traded away any of their picks. You know, they should have everything they need if they want to go in that route. They're about to pay Miles Turner, which is kind of like a legacy contract. But if you're looking at how things are going in the NBA, aren't we learning that paying people when they're mid-30s, high-level contracts for what they've already done isn't a mistake? Have we not learned that? You look at the Paul George contract, you look at several others. Do you really want to go that route with Miles Turner if you're the Pacers? Like, I get it. He's never played anywhere else. You drafted him. He's been an all-star. He could ring together a bunch of threes and block a lot of shots. It's really dope. He still plays at a high level. Every year he has a 41-point game or something like that. He's a high-level center. But, like, you've literally never won anything with the guy up until last season, where y'all got to the Eastern Conference Finals. His whole career, it hasn't equated to really being that special. So, with it being so difficult to get free agents, should I just, like, if I'm the Pacers, should I just be happy with what I have? A potential playoff team, got to the in-season tournament finals, got to the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, should I just be cool with that if I'm the Pacers? Because this is a team that's never had a championship, so it's like, I don't want to apply Laker standards to the Pacers as a Laker mind. You know what I'm saying? As a Laker fan, I'm never cool unless our ceiling could be championship. I'm thinking we need to rebuild. It's greatness or scrap it. But if I'm somebody else, maybe that's not necessary, right? So I don't know, man. I would lean into somebody else's expertise. It's going to sound pompous for me to say this, but I just think I've won too much to really know what's fair. If I'm being completely honest with you. My team has won a lot of championships in my life. So I always think that there's no other way to go but championship. And applying those standards to somebody else may not be realistic, or may not be what's best for their overall franchise health. But I don't know. When it comes to the Pacers, I'm just at a space where I'm like, all right, we got to the Eastern Conference Finals. That's wonderful. But can we ever see ourselves getting over the hump in this era? No. Can we shift all of it is that we have, become super pick rich, as I like to call it, and then start over and potentially have something that can go win the championship? Maybe you don't want to do that, you know, I don't know. Because to be honest with you, some franchises in small markets, it may be extremely risky to trade everything for picks. Because if you strike out, you could potentially push all your fans away. And then next thing you know, your team's moving to Vegas or something like that, or all the way out the league entirely. Like, you don't want to, you know, the risk for certain teams is much more than some of these teams that are in bigger markets. You know, you can afford for things not to work out because your brand's going to carry you. The market's always going to make it so that people are interested, etc. But for the Indiana Pacers, it's so much more sensitive in the sense that if we have like 7 bad straight years where our tanking effort fails or something like that, we may not even have a team in Indiana type thing. I don't know. So, like I said, I'm not the expert when it comes to stuff like this. But what I can identify is that they're not good enough to win a championship, and that if they want to be, they probably can go after something that may be good enough to do it. Maybe they think this is that. I just don't share that vision. And with them on the verge of paying Miles Turner and being locked up with Miles Turner, Tyrese Halliburton, and Pascal Siakam, I just don't know if I like that much. Ben Matherin's still young. You got to pay him too. He's probably going to go somewhere else because he's not going to have the money there in Indy that makes any sense for him to really re-sign there. That's just my speculation. I could be completely wrong. But when you look at the contracts that they're about to have on deck, I don't know where Matherin's money's at. And with him having somewhat of a breakout this season, he really looks great this year. I just assume they're probably going to lose him for nothing or have to trade him. I don't want to trade him. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm the Pacers, my idea is to keep Halliburton, he's young. Keep Mathurin, he's young. Probably move on, cash out on Pascal and Turner, to be honest with you. If I'm being completely honest with people, I'm cashing out on those two. Because I feel like they're going to be entering an age where they're not going to hold the same value anymore, and probably should want to capture that value. And then move forward with all those young players for which they have a lot of. And they picked up some guys in the draft this year that don't look that bad. Johnny Furphy, he's going to be pretty decent. So it's like, you see the young talent, but it doesn't align with the timeline of Pascal and Turner. So it's like, you're just kind of hovering, man. You're not, it's almost like being in no man's land, and you see the ceiling of what it is you have being no man's land. It's almost one of those situations where it's like, well, you have your picks, so you don't have to do that. A team like the Clippers has to do that. A team like the Pacers doesn't necessarily have to do that if their pick situation is intact. I would want to become pick rich. I would want to do that. So I just I don't talk much about the Pacers. I'd imagine I'd talk more about the Pacers if they were able to get Ace Bailey or Cooper Flagg. That's all I'm saying. You get a talent like that in place, and now we're talking again. Because when I grew up as a young person, the Pacers were very relevant. Like, they weren't no bad team when I was a kid. Hell no. Dale Davis, Antonio Davis, Reggie Miller, Rick Smits. Like, that was a good team. Ron Artest. That was a damn good team for a good majority of the years. We even saw them in the finals in 2000. So for me, I have a certain respect for the era that the Pacers had when I was a kid. It's some of the teams that y'all love today that weren't damn anything when I was a kid. With all, with respect to teams that have pulled it together. The Golden State Warriors, the Denver Nuggets, these teams were trash. The Boston Celtics, they were trash when I was a kid. You know what I mean? It was the Pacers that were rocking them, the Heat, the Knicks, the Bulls, obviously. And then on the West Side, it was the Spurs, and the Rockets, the Blazers. These teams were good when I was a kid. So it's like I have a certain reverence for those teams because of the era I grew up in, the golden era of my age, to where it's like I still think that those teams can have a respectability that they don't have right now, or could raise the ceiling like the Pacers can raise their ceiling. So that's my attitude. I just think certain teams probably can afford to get a lot better if they choose to, but it's going to be a gamble for them. Man, maybe they don't feel it's worth it. So, talk a lot about the Philadelphia 76ers, man. Listen, I'm reading tea leaves, and I would not at all be surprised if Joel Embiid doesn't be a Sixer for much longer. Now, in this apron era, you could find yourself seeing a situation where it's time to trade a guy and you can't move him. That might be a real thing. In fact, I'm here to tell you that is exactly the dynamic that I think might be ahead. They may want to move on and may find that they're not able to with Joel. They may not be able to trade Joel Embiid. And so I just want people to understand, like, with him looking as bad as he does, with the attitude stuff going on, him being 30 years old, the history of players his size not lasting very long, the fact that he's never won a championship, always hurt in the playoffs. You know, it's a lot of things working against Joel Embiid's price tag. And if you're the Philadelphia 76ers and you decide you want to move on from this guy, there's absolutely no way you want to do this without getting picks for him. And I'm here to tell you today, right now, it ain't realistic to expect you're going to be able to get picks for him. You don't have the leverage to demand it, and he's not playing well enough to demand it. You have to get his level up. He's going to have to play better, and I don't know that he's, with him and his body being where it's at, that you can get him up to that level. So this could be one of those rare occasions where everybody's ready to pull the trigger, but it might not necessarily be possible based on the apron era that we're in. And so I can totally see, you know, there's a world where the Philadelphia 76ers just got to get through this part of the season, and they're losing a lot of games. Within the second half of the season, they go on a real surge, because you do have Tyrese Maxey, who's going to be coming back sometime within the next couple of days. Obviously, Jared McCain gives you an entirely different dynamic. One of the best rookies in the game. He's going to be fantastic for years to come. So that hope right there is pretty positive. You know, you talk about manna coming down from the sky when everything's going wrong, and then you look over, you see Jared McCain. It's like, well, look at what God gave us. You know, that kind of thing, right? But at the same time, you really have bad contracts on deck at this point. Paul George contract, I personally think Paul George fits in a lot of situations. And I also think that Paul George is a player who could still play. I think that his demise is a bit overstated rather. I think he's shown you that he's washed, but I also understand that he's coming back from injury. That hyperextension in the preseason was a real thing. And maybe his attitude is not where it needs to be. Maybe he didn't come to Philadelphia with the right attitude, but he sure as hell is going to be stuck there for the next 4 years. And I think time heals a lot of wounds when it comes to stuff like this. Time heals a lot of wounds when it comes to stuff like this. So with Maxey being on the team and McCain playing this well, I think a lot of players in Paul George's position would maybe not be in shape right now, but over the next couple of years will probably get in better shape than they look right now. I liken it to Anthony Davis after the Lakers won the championship. Anthony Davis came in looking like he was eating burgers all summer. Grandma legs is what I called him. He was completely and utterly out of shape. And we got on his case. You know, we talked a lot about it. His play suffered. We missed games with him. He looked bad. He started taking his off-season regimen more seriously the following 3 summers, and now look where he's at. Now, granted, he's much younger than Paul George, but I think that same dynamic could be in place to where there could be a resurgence into the conditioning motivation behind Paul George, to where you got these 2 young players in your backcourt. They need you to be yourself so you can win something. You're not coming in with the right mentality, but you didn't know Jared McCain was going to be this good. You feel me? So it's like, I think Paul George could potentially, in listening to how people are talking about the Sixers and looking at how bad they're playing, I think he could turn around his conditioning and come back a better player in the second half of the season, or maybe at the beginning of next season. I don't think that contract has to look as bad as it does right now, because he's fresh off injury. He's in a brand new place. He got the contract he wanted, but he got slighted by the team he played for. Happened to be his home team. Now he has to live on the East Coast for the first time since leaving Indy. It's a lot of things to adjust to. Not to mention, even though he's a wealthy man, when you get a fresh $220 million contract, it's easy to relax. You know what I mean? It is. And he's podcasting, so he's got a lot of stuff that's eating away at his intentions. Man, that Philly team, with all due respect to a prideful bunch, they're not going to inspire nothing. You know what I mean? With the history that they've had, you got Nick Nurse, who's kind of using the old guys and stuff. There's nothing inspiring about that situation. But if you turn on your TV and you see how Jared McCain is balling, and you look over and you see Tyrese Maxey, you know what type of player he is? At some point in time, you're going to realize that the only thing that needs to happen is for you to get back to a level that you can play at. You're a swingman who plays both sides of the floor and shoots the ball like a madman. All you got to do is get in shape. Those kids are going to carry a lot of the load. They're going to probably move Joel if they have any chance of being able to. It's y'all three's team. Because they ain't going to be able to move Paul George, I don't think. And Joel slows them down, in theory. If Paul George loses 25 pounds, he can run with those kids. His style of play and the way that his game is set up, he's going to fit really nicely next to those two. But he's going to have to get in shape, man. So I just think that, there's reason for the super optimist to feel a lot better about the Philadelphia 76ers over the next couple of months if they can just stay healthy with what it is that they're using. Grow some of these young guys that they got. They got some decent ones. It's not like they got a bad group of young players. Adam Bona from UCLA. Ricky Council, I believe, is on that team. They just got to kind of shed some of these old guys off the roster if they can. And, in my humble opinion, they got to fire the damn coach. How you doing? You too. They got to fire the damn coach. That's so necessary at this point. Because the MO that I've been paying a lot of attention to the Pacers, the Sixers right now. The MO that he has right now is arrogant, and I won a championship, so I'm going to do what I want to do. Problem is, he's running older guys, and those older guys are not able to keep up with the field. So what you end up finding out is that in that arrogance that, the success isn't coming. So for me, it's like, when we were scouting him as a Laker fan, we were trying to figure out if we wanted to bring in Nick Nurse. The problem with Nick Nurse, and what I understood, was his offense was really, really intricate and boring. That's the way it was described by a lot of Toronto fans. And the offense didn't really have a whole lot of imagination to it, but it was complicated in some way. And his focus was more so on the defensive end. Not really the type of coach I want coaching McCain and Maxey, to be honest with you. I think they need to have more movement, offense, more athletes around them, stuff like that. So for me, with him playing, with everybody playing poorly, it gives me the excuse to fire him, and I probably pull the trigger on that. I probably move him, man. Y'all need a new coach, a new you need a JJ Redick type coach in Philadelphia, man. That's what you need. Somebody who's going to bring something high-powered into the situation, someone who's going to respect the young guys and look to develop them, somebody with an imagination to run plays. You got to get that coach in place. You got to move on from this Nick Nurse guy, man. And that's what I think. Firing him should be what you do. That should be done. And, here's something that I would consider if I'm the Philadelphia 76ers. The guy that the Lakers tried to go after, the coach that we couldn't get because he didn't want to leave the East Coast, the one that was signed with UConn, yeah, they may want to go after him. They may want to go after him. Because the argument for him was that he couldn't see himself leaving the East Coast. Well, buddy, you can be in Philadelphia. You ain't got to leave the East Coast. Connecticut ain't that damn far from Philly at all. The wife don't have to be uprooted or none of that. And so that's what I would do if I'm Philadelphia. I'd throw him the contract that the Lakers should have threw at him. And I know he signed a contract with UConn, so I don't know if there's some stipulations behind that contract, but I think it was only for 3 years. I would have him on my wish list of coaches to try to buy out of that UConn contract and bring him to Philadelphia. I would. I'd get him the hell out of there, man, and bring him to Philadelphia. You want all of those fantastic plays that he runs. You want them there in your building. That's the type of stuff you want McCain and Maxey running for the next 7 years. That's what you want. And Paul George running off of screens and doing all types of movement and stuff like that. That's exactly what Philadelphia needs. And the last but not least, man, fire Daryl Morey. Do yourself a favor, get him the hell out of there. He has no imagination for youth. He's one of those fossil-loving GMs that's going to continue to think that people from his era are still who they used to be. That type of crap is fireable of the highest order in this era. There's no excuse for this. The way he constructed this roster, it's an abomination, man. It's an absolute abomination. And then furthermore, having a coach in there that wants to play all the old guys just further makes it even worse. You need somebody who respects youth, athleticism, size. Daryl Morey don't respect none of that crap. He still probably thinks James Harden is old James Harden. You know, Kyle Lowry, all the stupid stuff that he's doing. Get him the hell out of there, man. Do yourself a favor and fire Daryl Morey. He's more name than substance at this point, and the evidence shows that. It just shows it. So, yeah, that's what I do. Clean house, Philly. Clean house, bro. Clean house. If you can't move on from any of them contracts, then you got to move on from the people that put that crap together. That's what you need to do. You got to have somebody else holding the controller, as I used to say. When we were holding on to Darvin Ham, he was playing all the stuff we didn't like. 3-point guard, small ball lineups. You know what I mean? That type of crap. Torian Prince the next year. That's what was killing us. We had the wrong guy holding the controller. Get that thing out of his hands and put it in somebody's hands who know what the hell they're doing. So that's what I would do with Philly, man. It's time to gut that whole damn thing, man. As far as the front office, gut that whole thing, bro. Whoever put that crap together, get him out of there, man. Do yourself a favor and don't wait either. Don't wait. Don't wait. We're firing people right away. Even if it sends us into disarray. It don't matter that we're in disarray, to be honest with you. Why? Because we can't move any damn way. The aprons won't let us move. These contracts won't let us move. You're stuck any damn way. It ain't like you're going to be making any trades anytime soon. You're not. And if you do, you let the wrong people make those decisions, you're going to have more of the same. He going to go out and get you Chris Middleton or some stupid crap. Trust me. Get him out of there. He loves old players. He needs to be in the past with them. He don't need to be a part of his new NBA. I'm sorry. Daryl Morey, that's exactly how I feel, bro. You need to be in the past. You are a guy of a certain era. And if you can't age with that era, then you don't need to be making decisions for this one. That's just what it is. You know, it's a youth movement time, man. You got to have value in that. NBA, the people who have value for the youth movement are successful. Or on their way of being successful. We can see that all over the league. Those who develop talent, value talent, draft talent, keep their own drafted talent, all of that. That's what works, man. And Philly been doing things for so long. Their fan base is absolutely exhausted. There's nothing wrong with gutting everything right away just so your fan base can feel good. I would fire Daryl Morey and Nick Nurse the same damn day. And keep my fan base in-house. Keep them believing. Trust me, if you put your ear to the streets to the Philadelphia 76ers right now, all the fans really want is all the crap that sucks out of the room. They don't even care if the stuff that they use isn't that great. They just want the stuff that's making them suck out of the room. Kyle Lowry, all the old guys, Eric Gordon, get them out of here, man. Get them out of here and get the people who are using them out of here and get the people who put them together out of here. All the same day, I'd clean it all up. I would. See, that's why you don't want me in the NBA. You let me have control of these teams, bro. I'm cutting certain things. I ain't waiting for nothing. People getting fired the same day I come in the door. You and me can't coexist. I'm here to get you out of here type stuff. Go. Daryl Morey, Nick Nurse, Eric Gordon, Kyle Lowry, you all gone. Get the hell out of here, man. Don't even get your stuff. I will have security get your stuff for you. You can just get on a flight and get the hell out of here. I'm serious. And Philadelphia's fan base would be roaring and loving me for it. I promise you. They would love me. Because I'm not letting stuff get any worse. I already see what's going wrong. I'm listening to everybody, and I'm getting the crap out of here. You know what I'm saying? Just period. You'll figure it out along the way, but in the meantime, let's just get the stuff that's making bad decisions the hell out. Because the owner's spending far too much money on this roster for him to be stuck with this apron era, can't make moves. And this is the crap that they put together. And the coach ain't even willing to play these guys that can actually move, run, and jump. Nah, we ain't doing none of that. We ain't doing none of that. And I have my picks? Oh, yeah, no. Let's get this crap out of here. Move all of that. Trade it off for peanuts. Waive it. I don't even... Like, to be honest with you, if something shows me that it can't be valued in this league at all, nobody wants this dude, no matter what, get him out of here. Waive him. Buy his contract out. Get him out of here. I kid you not. We don't even do that. We don't do that. That's what I'm saying. They don't want me in the NBA, man. I'm a talking head, but I don't do politics. I don't respect the politics that much, bro. I really don't. I respect results. I respect human evolution. Get this crap out of here and bring in some youth, please, even if it's G League talent. I don't need my team to be that talented early on. I just need them to have enough upside to turn into something. That's it. Trade everything that isn't any good. And if Philadelphia does that, it'll keep their fan base happy. Even if they ain't winning much, they'll be happy that crap is gone. Because the problem with the Philadelphia situation is that every single year there's been some decision that the Philadelphia 76ers have made that have made their fan base have to sit through unbearable amounts of pain. That's the reality of it. Ben Simmons and his nonsense, ever since Jimmy left. Them choosing Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler. That's where it started. And it's been bad ever since. Ben Simmons, James Harden, now this crap. No. The fan base needs a break, man. It's been grueling, hardcore pain. Kawhi Leonard's shot at the buzzer. Joel injury issues. And we called out Philadelphia several years ago with how they handled Ben Simmons. Because I thought they weren't respecting his mental health circumstances. You know, trying to do all types of stuff that I just thought made it worse. Because they didn't believe him when he was saying he had mental health issues. And I always make the argument that if he wasn't mentally ill, how come he's a 7-foot basketball player that's afraid to shoot the basketball? Like, that in and of itself tell me something wrong with him. You know, like, that's a real thing. And I thought they handled it poorly, and I think some of what's going on right now is karma for that, to be honest with you. And so for me, it's like I'm moving on from everything. I'm bringing in a brand new president if I'm the owner. You know, I'm changing the whole culture. I'm changing the whole culture, man. And I'm keeping the stuff that I like. McCain, Maxey, you're here. We're moving forward with you guys. We're probably going to have to tank for a couple years. If we can move Paul George's contract, I'm moving that. If I can move Joel Embiid's contract, I'm moving that. If I can't move that, then we're sitting on these guys. But the idea is to get all the trash out and start anew. And if you start now, you can't do any more damage. You know what I mean? What hurts you can't hurt you anymore if you make sure that it leaves out the door right now. So that's what I got to say, man. Been paying a lot of attention to Philly, man. I've been loving what I've been seeing from the Sickos. That's one of my favorite new well, he's not a new podcast, but this is new to me. One of my favorite podcasts to listen to right now. I'm always enamored with the worst team in the league. This started last year with Detroit. And Philly's a new Detroit. It's just overly fascinating to see how a team just finds a way to be so damn bad. Like, literally, it's just really fascinating to me to see coaches just play stuff that doesn't work, you know? Like, literally. And watch it just go to hell. And then the fan base is going crazy and they just sit there like, what do we do? Like, that is such a fascinating stance for me. You know, it's like, are you shaving points on purpose? Are y'all betting on your own ineptitude? Like, why would someone let this continue? You know what I mean? It's so fascinating. But nevertheless, I start looking for solutions, and that's what I can use my voice to do. Philadelphia's situation ain't really fixable right now. But at least you can get the people who are making bad decisions and the old worthless talent you can get it out of there. That should be it. You can waive people. You know what I mean? You can waive people and fire people. That's always a solution in a situation when ineptitude is found plentiful. Waive and fire, man. Stretch, I don't care. Just get them off the team. And some may say, well, it's still going to be on the books. Cool. At least he's not on the team. That's the most important thing. If I got to pay for him, I pay for him. But if I can't trade the dude, how you doing, bro? If I can't trade the dude, and I can't, you know what I mean? And he's sitting up here hurting my team, keeping my young players from developing. You know what I mean? Or I can tell him to sit down. Permanently bench him. Whatever that looks like. You know what I'm saying? That's what's going to be happening. If I'm running things, we're going to do that. So that's really what I got to say, man. This apron era hurts the circumstance a lot. Because it makes it so that you can't undo certain things. But Just the same, I'm all in the business of firing stuff. Get them out of here now. Don't wait. That's what I said about Darvin Ham last year. As soon as I realized Darvin Ham was going to give us another year of a different kind of frustration, I was ready to fire him. I wasn't going to wait. It makes sense to wait. No, but you heard other things. That's what I was saying to the Laker front office with my channel. Like, there's other things that you're not considering. The development of Max Christie and other things that, if you sit on this guy and let him continue to run things, goes down the wayside. And it's the same thing in Philadelphia. You got to get somebody in there who's going to develop your young players, huh? Holding on to the coach for optical reasons don't help your situation. You got to move that guy so that he can not be in place to continue doing the stuff that makes your team worse. So yeah, give that some thought, Philadelphia. If you follow me, give that some thought. We're going to continue to follow your team so long as you're the new Detroit. BDL44, I thank y'all for watching.